of grace, where things would change, and maybe they'd take up the cross high again. The valley of grace was never the same after he had died. The love that refines. There's no sense in trying to do it on my own. He gave more than I could have known.
Good evening and welcome to Valley of Graces, Healing Our Brokenness. And tonight's topic of discussion is entitled The Grace Aspect of Living with and Healing from Trauma. When it comes to PTSD/trauma, there are some days when everything goes fine and you forget that you even have PTSD. Then there are other days when you're flooded with intrusive thoughts, you are dissociating, and you feel your body tightening up from stress or tension, or from you not having confidence about doing something. And then there's no rhyme or reason as to what may have triggered some of these events. One thing that we can be sure of, and that is that living with and healing from trauma ends up requiring us to give ourselves grace. It's so easy to give grace to others, but then a lot of times when it comes to ourselves, we let that inner critic take over. You should have known better. You were so foolish. You were so stupid. How could you be so this, that, and the other? We let that inner critic take over. Perfectionism kicking in. And then we forget that God's grace is covering us just as we're giving this grace to others. And when we have compassion toward ourselves and move the love over, self-compassion and self-love over to ourselves, this also enables us to know how to set the standard for other people's treatment of us. I've noticed that when it comes to certain traumatic events, and that's certain childhood traumatic events, some are easier to heal than others. And the eye doctor visits are one of them for me. When it comes to any type of doctor, I would say that you need to be able to feel like you can trust that person. Okay. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of a breakdown of what it is that happened to me that was traumatic with my, as far as the reason why I have a hard time going to eye doctor visits. I can remember going to the eye doctor with my mom at 6 years old and sitting in the office for a total of 5 to 6 hours with a couple of dilations in between. And I remember it just being awful. We would walk up several flights of stairs to the eye doctor, and the whole time I would think to myself, oh boy, here we go again. The best thing about the trip was going to the store next to the hospital for a treat afterwards. That's what I looked forward to. My mother would hold my hand as we walked across the street to wait for the CTA bus, as I was feeling off balance and the ground feeling uneasy beneath me. And this was due to the fact that my eyes were still dilated. And I could also remember the sun bothering my eyes. Like Leah in the Bible, I was born with a weak eye. And so, in order to prevent blindness, I had to wear a patch over the non-weak eye to allow my weak eye to gain strength and to communicate to the brain to give vision to that eye. I also had to participate in a lot of eye exercises, and I started wearing eyeglasses at the young age of 6 years old. My first set was a pair of black round eyeglasses, and my family would refer to me as Miss Beasley. Even to this day, my trips to the eye doctor are traumatic. My eyes tear up like crazy as the doctors are trying to do the exam. They must hand me several pieces of tissue, and I usually sit there feeling embarrassed and like I'm right back in the chair that I was in as a kid, trying to figure out what the letters are on the eye chart. Okay. So about a month ago, I scheduled an appointment to see the eye doctor. It was going to be my third time seeing this particular doctor who's super friendly, and she's a godsend. She's the type of doctor that you would think of as a friend instead of a doctor. She's just that warm. I talked to myself about the visit. I reassured myself this appointment is going to be fine. However, 3 days before the appointment, I started getting cold feet. And this has happened for the last 3 years. I would start running all these different scenarios in my head about sitting in a chair, having a puff machine going, the whole 9 yards. And then I started thinking, should I call and cancel the appointment or should I keep it? But then I decided if I canceled the appointment, then it meant that I would lose out on the benefits that I had for 2018. And I only had a few more days to go before I lost those benefits. And I knew there was a strong chance that I was going to have a change in my prescription. So 2 days before the eye doctor visit, I started thinking about the eye doctor, and I could immediately feel my blood pressure rising. Just the thought of having a place to cuff around my wrist or arm sent my blood pressure up. For years, when I would go to the eye doctor, I would have issues with my eyes running like crazy, as if I was crying. But then within the last 2 years, I've noticed that the thing is that I cry, and then along with the crying, I started feeling like I'm restricted because now eye doctors take your blood pressure when you go. And so this includes blood pressure cuffs that make me feel like this. And if I'm sitting in massage chairs that squeeze you hard when you're sitting in them. And I discovered the massage chair issue when I went to a pool and outdoor furniture store with a friend, and I tried the massage chair out. As soon as my calves and arms started to be massaged with the squeeze, I forced those parts out of the chair like lightning. And my friend said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I can't take it." So back to the visit. So I made it to the eye doctor. I sat there waiting for my name to be called for the puff test first. The technician told me that she wanted to take my blood pressure with the cuff, and I could feel my blood pressure rising. The next thing was the puff test with the new machine. I thought this should be simple enough. I started tearing up once again. Then I was called by the eye doctor. And unfortunately, once the exam started, then came the tears. When I got home, I felt like I had failed. I had talked myself down by telling myself to trust in God before the exam. And once again, I cried at the eye doctor visit excessively. I felt like Paul at this point. And in Romans 7:19, he said, "I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do." There are some parts of trauma that we have to realize will take longer than others to heal. That's just plain and simple fact. And this is one part for me, the visits to the doctors. This is a time when we need to give ourselves grace, especially given the fact that God has brought me so far, and there are several others of you who are living with and healing from trauma on a daily basis that have made tremendous strides. And so, although I thought it was a fail, it wasn't an epic fail. God's grace was enough to take care of the visit. His grace was enough where his strength showed up in my weakness, and I got through the visit. And so I have to look at it that way. And when you're feeling discouraged about the fact that whatever traumatic event it is that happened and you thought you had worked through it and got so far, but it's still the one event that keeps coming up and you're having difficulty with, give yourself grace. Let yourself know that you had all these other different things, different areas rather, where healing has occurred. And just give yourself grace, knowing that with this one thing, it's not going to make or break you, but God can heal you in that area as well. And so I just want to thank you guys for listening tonight. And then I hope that you have a very blessed evening.
Turn those valleys into places to learn instead of burn and perish away. And nights never so cold without his grace. How could I say that I've seen the world from his great love? How could I know what he could love? How would I've seen what he had in store for me if I didn't give up and let him be my valley of grace, where things would change and maybe they'd take up the cross high again. The valley of grace never was the same after he had died. The love that refines. So much I wish I could give back, but I'm not intact to be sharing all of that. You took the price to give me that life, and now it's never gonna fade away. When I see I need more of him, he whispers the sweetest of mercies upon my ears, and I won't go back the way it was again, 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 and now a valley of grace where things would change. I've seen the light, so so much